The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation, exploring the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply wish to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, certified travel coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. My name is Jessica Grace Coleman and I'm your host. And today I'm talking to founder of Seriously Travel and sponsored travel expert, Marie Hernandez. As a digital entrepreneur, Marie specializes in helping established coaches incorporate her unique marketing skill, enabling them to travel the world, expand their brand, and forge valuable connections with businesses to attract more and higher quality clients. Through sponsored travel, Marie is revolutionizing the content creation cycle by exchanging social media exposure and individual expertise for luxurious accommodations, delectable cuisine, world-class tours, and personalized experiences. In fact, she's been fortunate enough to travel to an incredible 54 countries on sponsorship, discovering new cultures, meeting inspiring individuals, and capturing breathtaking moments along the way. During her last 10-day trip to Tuscany, Marie had the incredible support of over $8,000 worth of sponsorships for accommodations, cuisine, tours, excursions, and private transportation. It was an unforgettable experience that allowed her to showcase the beauty of the region and connect with amazing businesses. I am actually currently one of Marie's students, helping out with a beta program around sponsored travel, and I'm learning so much from her. She's also really kind and helpful and is always willing to answer any questions you have. She also has some great Facebook groups, so whatever capacity you decide to connect with or work with her, I highly recommend it. In this episode, we discuss how Marie got into sponsored travel, the different types of sponsored travel you can have, Marie's favourite places to visit and the best sponsorship trips she's been on, our mutual love of donkeys, and much, much more. So let's get straight to the interview. Hi, Marie. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Okay, so I know you, obviously, as I mentioned in the intro, but can you please give me and our listeners a bit of background information about you? So where you're from, where you live, and a little bit about your story so far.
Sure. So I'm Marie Hernandez. I was born in New Jersey and I was raised around the world. My father was in the military, so we traveled everywhere, internationally as well. And that's probably where I got my travel bug from. And then I settled back in New Jersey and I had my children. I have 6. I have 3 girls and 3 boys. Just had my 14th grandbaby. And I started traveling the world through sponsorship about 13 years ago now. When I was in Singapore, I lived in Singapore for 6 years with my then husband. My story is much like many other people. You come to a crossroads or a tragedy that happens in your life. You can go left or you can go right. You can curl up and say, I can't do anything anymore. Or you can say, this is the catalyst in which it's going to give me everything that I want in my life. And that's what I did. And that happened in Singapore. I was essentially kind of stuck there. And I had already started Seriously Travel. And my dream was to just travel the world and document my travels and different destinations. Because at the time I didn't need to make money doing it. I was an expat mom and I was blessed to have money supplied for me. And although I had worked in the corporate world prior to that, I didn't have to anymore. But then, I found myself, for the lack of a better word, abandoned. I had no way to get back to the US. And my then husband decided he was going to do what he was going to do. And so I was like, okay, now what do I do about this? And I did. I said, this is an opportunity for me to take what's happened. I was 50 at the time. So it's 8 years ago now. I decided I was going to live my dreams, which was to travel the world through sponsorship, though. It very different than what most people do. So you'll see a lot of people on Instagram, they'll have 1 million followers, and then somebody like a product or a hotel will say, well, come stay with us and advertise on your Instagram. And that was something that not that I'm knocking it, it's just something that didn't speak to me. I wasn't aligned with that. I wanted to be able to help market these smaller places. So while I have stayed in the Mozambiques and the Marriotts and all the wonderful places, I really love the connection and the intimacy of staying with like a small owned place, like a mom and pop place, for lack of a better word, but it helps market them. And it also helps me to experience things more on a more personal level. I'm not just a number, I'm part of the family by the time I leave. So this was in my head. Social media wasn't what it was back then. Facebook was there, but you couldn't do much on it. You just kind of post pictures. And so I kind of was future predicting and knew it was going to be something big. I was like, okay, this is, obviously this is going to be something big. And I started to find out ways how I could use it to market for my sponsors. And so that's what I was doing in Singapore. And that's what I decided I was going to do and teach it when I came back from the US. So I did. I came back, I landed in Florida. I started it, my first course, I remember, before I knew what I was doing. I did a drip course, but I continued to take on one-on-one clients and to travel the world. It turned into this beautiful, beautiful career that I have now, where I run retreats and I essentially travel the world on sponsorship in an exchange kind of thing for growing. It also grows a business as well. So I teach that whole concept of having a digital business that not just that you're really making money, that you're replacing your corporate job, the money from your corporate job, and then you get to market and in exchange for these sponsorships. And many, many times you go on to monetize that sponsor as well. So it's a beautiful way to see the world and to meet people and spread love. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So
yeah, that's amazing. I love this whole area so much because so many people have this dream that they want to travel the world and get paid for it. And they want to make a difference and all this kind of stuff. And they think it's just not achievable or it's not realistic, but you can, you're proof that it absolutely is. And I love that you talk about the sort of mom and pop, like individual independent places as well. I completely prefer staying in places like that. You get a more personalized experience, all that kind of stuff. And I know you add in sort of charity elements as well. You encourage people to sort of see how they can help out in the area they go to, which I love as well. So yeah, I love this whole thing. I'm going to want to ask more about the sponsored travel stuff. But first of all, I wanted to ask about Singapore. I didn't realize you were there for 6 years. So when you first moved there, did you have any like culture shock? Were there any massive obstacles or challenges you faced? What was it like moving over there?
So it was my first time in Southeast Asia, but I had always wanted to go. So for myself personally, I didn't have a culture shock. And I think it was because I moved around so much as a child that I was very adaptable. And for me, it wasn't a challenge in the traditional sense. It was exciting. So I challenged myself to really dive in. And I remember the first day we got there, it was night. So we landed and it was dark and you really can't see anything. They took us to to the hotel. And I was just up early. Jet lag's pretty bad. I don't know if you probably traveled and it's pretty bad, but yeah, I was just excited. So I remember getting up and the first thing I wanted to do was just go out. However, I was with a couple of people from my husband at the time, his business that had transferred us there. And they were culture shocked. They were fearful and afraid. And, how are we going to do this? And the language and the food and the heat. And, so all of those things play an element. So I did get that perspective. But Singapore is very, very, so their country is amazingly run, in my opinion. And their first language that they teach their children has to be English. And then you teach the common language to your children. So everybody speaks English. There isn't anywhere you go that someone doesn't speak English. There's really no language barrier. So that's just how the country is. And then it was just fascinating. You have Indonesians and Malaysians and people from India, and you have English and Australian and you name it. It's just this huge, massive melting pot. And they say that about New York as well. It's very similar to that, except it's the cleanest country that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely. And just really just welcoming. There's no fear of crime. So it's a different element. It's just really easy to adapt if you're going to go to Southeast Asia. I think if someone threw you into the Philippines or threw you into Indonesia, that might be more of a shock. So it was better experience because of that. It was easier to adapt in a place that was just adaptable, that was there speaking your language and easy for you to navigate. So.
And you mentioned there like the sort of adaptability and the fact that you've moved around a lot. You're already quite adaptable person generally.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned when you came to the sort of crossroads where you had to go left or right, and you chose this amazing sponsored travel, teaching, helping digital entrepreneurs, that kind of thing. Was there any kind of doubt or fear around that? Like, did it take you a while to choose that? Or, in that moment, I know a lot of people would probably think, oh, that would be great, but it's just too overwhelming. It's too daunting. I'm just going to go get a normal job or whatever. So did it take you a while to like decide to do that? Or were you just like, no, I'm doing it?
So yes and no. I think the fear was around the fact, I was 50. And that normal kind of fear plays a role, especially in your mindset, especially in where I was mentally and emotionally. I had been devastated over this. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know. I mean, it was literally seconds where my life changed. It was just a boom. You're no longer where you thought you were. So in that, I was fearful, like, who's going to see me? I was thinking everything was for the young and, oh my gosh, this is a whole new life I have to start. So in that I was, but I never doubted what I wanted to do because I had been in the corporate world for years while I was raising my children. I was a director and editor for pharmaceutical companies in their video department. And so I had been part of that world. I was never aligned with it. I did it because of the creative space, and I loved that. And I loved the traveling that I did with it. I was always an entrepreneur at heart, always. So in that, I wasn't afraid. I was afraid, of how long it would take me, of the struggles of getting there. And then I just, did more work on myself. I did work on me spiritually and emotionally while I was then deciding what I was going to do and mapping that out. I was lucky enough I sold everything that I had. And because at one point, I have a story at one point I want to hire a coach to help me with all of this. And I had my free session and I went to my bank account and I had 16 cents in it. And it was like, oh my God, like, okay, like, nope, not going to happen. So that kind of pushed me towards like, yes, I have to say that there was a point where I was like, well, maybe I go back into the corporate world, or maybe I go back to work and then work my way up to that point where I can then leave and do what I want. But I knew that if I did that, I'd get stuck in that rat race. There'd always be an excuse. That I'm okay, wait, oh, let me give it one more year. I want this amount of money. Never start. I knew that about me, that I'd get comfortable in that situation, or maybe comfortable with the uncomfortable, and then I'd never push myself. So where I will say that I was lucky was that I had a support system in my family. So it wasn't that I was never homeless. I did go, and I had my daughters, and I had family that I could go to, and I'd stay there off and on between them. My daughters were thrilled at this, actually, because they got to have mom. They were all grown with their own children. And so in that sense, it was beautiful because I did get to rebuild that relationship with my family, and I had a place to stay and start over. Some people don't. So the decision was a little bit easier for me because I did not have to worry about that end of it. That was never something that stopped me either. If I was just sort of like, okay, so now I'm sitting on the street, I would have probably made a different decision, but I would have always made this decision. I would have always done this. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I have to be that. Another thing was taking the time to heal. I sold everything that I could that I had left. And I bought 3 months of an Airbnb in Tuscany and the airline ticket. And I had a little money for, just food and stuff. I forced myself to overcome the fear and take that time to work on myself, like to get myself to learn the lessons. Why was I here? I was the common denominator in the failures of my marriage and other things. Figure that out. Because I knew that if I didn't sort that out, I didn't want to take that into a new business and a new life. So it was a healing, I had to do that. And so I did take that time. And the creativity when you get there, when your mindset is settled, and we're always working on that, right? Ourselves and our mindset. But when when you're in that place, the creativity is crazy. It just comes in. And so what I wanted to do with Seriously Travel shifted as well. So.
And I know you love Tuscany, like you've done lots of sponsored travel there. You absolutely love it. Is that part of why you love it? Because you went there for those 3 months and did all that work?
It is. It absolutely is. I had never been before. I'm from Spanish background, from Spain. And so it was a toss up between Spain and Italy. But I had always wanted to go. And of course, Under the Tuscan Sun and Eat, Pray, Love was out there. And that spoke to me too, because it was very much what happened to me under the Tuscan Sun, so to speak. And I had just started communicating with Airbnb owners, and the one that I ended up staying with, the family just clicked and they became family. Like I ate with them every night. They took me around Tuscany. We went on trips. The 3 months was filled with huge healing, huge, just love and passion. And so, yeah, that's why it's part of my soul. And so I have 2 home bases in Florida. I have, obviously, in the US, I have Florida, and then Tuscany, San Gimignano and Tuscany is where I go and spend 3 months at a time. So
nice. For people who might not still understand what sponsored travel is, because we keep talking about it, and I'm learning about it obviously now through you, but could you just explain a bit more about it? Like what kinds of sponsored travel can you get? Like, we think of hotels, but there's so much more to it than that.
In a nutshell, sponsored travel is a marketing skill. And for digital entrepreneurs, people who love to travel and work from anywhere, it's a seamless marketing skill that you integrate into that business. So you're already doing things online, right? On social media, you're advertising podcasts and your travels and, what you're doing, your business, whether you're a yoga teacher or photographer. The niche doesn't matter. The connection is the travel. And it's an exchange at first, an exchange for your marketing ability and the know, like, and trust factor you have with your own audience in exchange for paid sponsorship. So what I mean by sponsorship is you can go and experience an amazing hotel or an amazing villa. I love the small ones, the boutique hotels, things that you're really going to dive into, but you can do the bigger ones as well. For me, it's more of a connection. I love helping the people that all they have is booking.com, and I want them to get out there. So social media is a massive platform for marketing for them, and you're doing it anyway. So when you integrate it and tweak and know how to do it and know how to approach sponsors and all that good stuff, you end up exchanging your marketability and your marketing skill for, I've done everything. I've been hot air balloons. I've had a car for a week that I got to drive around. I've been to Diane Fossey's. I was sponsored by Diane Fossey's group, 1,000 Shades of Green, where they brought me to Diane Fossey's gorilla group, where I got to spend an hour with the gorillas that she helped raise before her death. I've done scuba diving. I've done skydiving. I've done every Michelin restaurant in Tuscany and Italy. I've done all kinds of restaurants, cooking classes, you name it, and you can do it. I've been to the Maldives in an over-the-water bungalow for a week, in Indonesia. It's unlimited because a good owner will know that rather than a cold audience, promoting in a magazine or promoting, just putting an ad on Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest, wherever, that's a cold audience. That's people are just going to, okay, well, we don't really know about you. We're going to go for the cheapest thing we can find. When you're advertising for them, when you're staying and you're doing stories and reels, promoting, your audience is already warm. They know you, they like you, they trust you. So the idea is, well, I'm going to be in Tuscany and Marie's there and she did this great, Vespa tour. So they'll reach out to me and say, Marie, I'm going to be in Tuscany. Can you suggest? And of course, I'm going to suggest my sponsors because I've already vetted them. That's what the sponsorship is. It's vetting. I send them business. That's their advertising. So it's always a win for the sponsor, always, because it keeps going. It's not just that one-off when you're there. And so that's building the relationship. So that's part of it. And it's part of what you do anyway as a digital entrepreneur. So it seamlessly fits in. And then, of course, I teach the other things like, the negotiation and the pitching and all the fun stuff that goes with that. But it is just a remarkable way to see the world and to help and to get your own clients, because your clients are everywhere. And the niche doesn't matter as much. And I think a lot of people get stuck on that. Like, oh, well, I'm not in the travel niche. But I've had photographers, I've had, videographers, yoga teachers, retreat leaders love it because we have to vet. I run retreats as well. You have to vet and make sure that the venue is aligned and anything you're going to do with the people that you bring are aligned with that. So you want to make sure you visit them first. And as you know, pictures on the internet are never what they are in real life. So you want to make sure that in fact, it is not a cot on the floor, but it really is a room, so sponsorships are perfect for that. And they're very quickly accepted when you know how to position them correctly, because they know that you're potentially going to bring back a group of people. So like I said, authors and podcast people. And, another thing that I do is I do launches I'll get a sponsorship and do a launch from there. I'm going to be doing a workshop from a sailboat in the Seychelles next year. So, it's things like that too. So it encompasses your business, whatever it is. I mean, how beautiful would it be to do a podcast from, a catamaran in the Mediterranean? You know what I mean? So that's the idea, because you're also going to talk about them and the company, and you bring them on, or make them part of the marketing. And then people just want to go because they feel that genuine connection that you have with your sponsor. So
that sounds pretty amazing, doing a podcast from a catamaran.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. So people who are listening to this, who might be thinking, oh, I'm not a travel influencer, like you say, I don't want to use like Instagram, TikTok. Oh God, TikTok. But you actually teach how to utilize Facebook. So can you explain why you do it through Facebook for people who don't know?
Sure. I do have those other channels as well. I just don't utilize them as much. Facebook is where you can develop a relationship. You can write a nice long post that's filled with emotion and filled with passion and that speaks to people. Facebook is where people go to definitely investigate and vet out places and things and people. I was laughing the other day. My grandson went to Facebook to look at sneakers. And I'm like, sneakers? But you do see video and so it's more of a platform where you can really, really tell a story, and not just a visual one, but you can really write a story. And some people love that. Some people love the reels. Some people love the stories. Some people love the written posts, and some people love lives and video. You can do it all on Facebook. And then you could utilize it for the other things. But Instagram is fantastic. It's fantastic. The reels and stuff and the stories on there were great. It's rare that people sit and read a longer post on Instagram. It's not designed for that. TikTok is designed for the instant, which is great as well. And you can do really cool videos with that. But it's really the relationship that you're building on Facebook, and Facebook can do all of that as well. So I focus on the one, and then I just repurpose on the others. And also too, that's where most of the sponsors are as well. They all have pages. Almost everybody has a Facebook page, and then you can message back and forth. You start the relationship there, and then it moves usually to a Zoom, and then of course in person and things like that. So Facebook is a fantastic platform. So I used to have a love-hate relationship with it because Facebook wants you, the business end wants you to run ads, and I don't do anything but from my personal page. I develop a relationship. I don't put links. I don't run ads because you get smacked by Facebook for doing that, but I draw people into my group. And that's the beauty too. Then you can do whatever you want in your group. That's what they're designed for. So I don't run ads. I won't say I never will run an ad. I probably will run an ad eventually to like a free resource, but I don't develop the relationship on an ad. I do it personally. So.
I love that sort of organic way of doing it and really getting to know someone. And I'm not great with ads either. So I like this approach. So you mentioned there your retreats. So can you tell me what kind of retreats you run, and also what other services you offer for people who might be interested?
Since the start of the pandemic, many people have been reconsidering the ways in which they have fun. After a horribly isolating couple of years, we're now craving connection, community, and real deep conversation. We don't want to do the same old stuff every time we meet up with friends. We want something new, something different, something more. Enter the Flip the Script Party Packs. These digital party packs will help you flip the script on your usual parties and flip the script on your lives. Yes, this is self-development, but not as you know it. When you buy a Flip the Script party pack, you'll get taken to a super secret page on our online portal where you'll be guided through your very own Flip the Script party with videos, fun worksheets, and printables to help you throw the best Flip the Script party ever. There's a party pack for everyone and every situation. Mindset makeover, business bestie, life goals and legacy, birthday boost, hen do hootenanny, and team building takeover. all designed to help you have a great time in a fun, collaborative setting. They're also perfect for when you're meeting people on the road and you want to get to know your new travel buddies. Small talk's dead. It's time to get deep with a Flip the Script party. Just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/party to purchase, or get all 6 party packs free when you sign up to the Flip the Script Digital Nomad Academy at traveltransformationcoach.com/academy. And now let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Sure. So the retreats they're immersive retreats to understand and really fall in love. Most of them are called Fall in Love with Tuscany, Fall in Love with Greece, Fall in Love with the Seychelles. The reason why is because there's a difference between a vacation and travel, in my opinion. A vacation, you're relaxing and you just kind of but a travel is to really grasp the feeling and the emotion and the love and culture in a country. And so during my retreats, all of them start at 7 days. Some of them go to 12, and they're small groups. So they're no more than 12 ever. And I do that for a reason. I want people to make friends and to stay friends. Many of them will stay friends and travel afterwards, which I love. And also, too, I immerse them into the culture. So whatever that culture is, like, for instance, in Tuscany, where there's going to be lots of eating and lots of wine and lots of friendship, but also, too, learning traditional cooking, not a cooking class where there's 75 people, but a Nona's kitchen where you actually get to go in and she helps you make real pasta and tells you the stories behind it and her history and when she grew up as a little girl and how her grandmother helped her do whatever it is she's doing. And then also, too, we do like hot air balloons in the morning over the vineyards and things that really, everything is about connecting mind, body, mind, and soul, and also understanding and learning. The people that I work with have all been sponsors and they're all passionate about what they do. So when you get a skip the line behind the scenes of the David, you're not just getting the history. He's pouring his soul into it and has those little bit of tips that other guides don't have, that kind of thing. So and that's all of my retreats. They're all run that way, designed for you to actually fall in love with the country and its people and culture. So yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. It's one of my favorite parts of my company is to do those. And so Tuscany, Italy, I do twice. I do one that goes in Rome, Tuscany, Amalfi, and then one that's just focused on San Gimignano because that's my heart home. So,
yeah, those sound amazing.
There's Greece this year. Yeah, there's Greece this year and the Seychelles this year, and then two in Italy. So
nice. Yeah. Those are, the Tuscany one in particular sounds right up my alley. So you mentioned there how you love people come together and make friends and go on to travel, and that's what I love about travel in particular, and then about any kind of sort of group program. And I know you do sort of group programs, and you mentioned your Facebook group, and it's all about community. And the program I'm in with you, the community element is definitely one of the big pluses. We have a Facebook group, we do group sessions, we're all friends on Facebook now, we're all supporting each other, and it's just a really, really great way about it. So how has community, either online or in real life, been a part of your journey in terms of your work or your travels?
Yeah, the community aspect is, so as you know, being a digital entrepreneur can be very lonely. It really can be. We're responsible for every aspect of our business, regardless of how big it gets. I have a business partner and I have several programs that I run and the retreats and the back end and all of that. So it becomes overwhelming sometimes and lonely because you feel like, okay, everything lies on my shoulders. And community, having the community part of it is just so important. It's really for our psyche, for our emotions, just to know that we're part of a group that understands what we're going through and that supports us, definitely supports us. I mean, social media is a massive amount of people are on social media, but to find your tribe and to find those people, that's the beauty of it. When you're communicating on social media in a way that people really get to know you and building relationships, that's where you find your community. So it's so important for me, and I build it into everything. Even my one-on-ones, I do VIP one-on-one programs for mastering sponsored travel and then for UBF, which is Ultimate Business Freedom. We have a one-on-one, but we still put the one-on-one people into the Facebook group because it's still nice, even though we're working one-on-one and that's a faster pace, and gets you your desired results faster, you still want to be part of people who understand We still make sure that community is a big part of it so that you feel seen and heard and appreciated and accepted. So,
yeah, it's definitely one of the best bits about it is, yeah, you can learn so much from other people as well, like you say, and you're not going through it alone. And so your main Facebook group is called Sponsored Travel for Digital Entrepreneurs. And I'll put the link to that in the show notes as well, if anyone's interested in joining that. And you mentioned your new venture, Ultimate Business Freedom, then. So can you tell me a bit about what this is?
Yes. That's amazing. So one of the beautiful things about this space and this business and traveling the world is the wonderful people that you meet. And so my new business partner, we've been working on things for a few months, and she came to me as a client, as a one-on-one client. And almost immediately, when you have that connection, we're just she's an expert in copywriting and sales and conversion. I mean, literally sell a bald man a comb. But she teaches you how to beautifully integrate it into your business, which skyrockets your bottom line, like it really does. So she bought my one-on-one program, and we were working together because she wanted to integrate sponsored travel, because she's also a digital entrepreneur. She travels the world. And she wanted to know more about that. And then I went into her program because I love to write, and I feel like I'm a really good writer, but there's a difference between writing and conversion writing and sales writing. And so it's a huge thing. And I felt that piece was probably missing a little bit. Within a few weeks, both of us realized that this was an all-encompassing program to put together, just because we have crossover, right? So marketing is a crossover and sales is a crossover, things like that. And the sponsored travel is a marketing skill that you're utilizing, and just with tweaks, it comes naturally and it builds fast. It builds your business, because while you're marketing for other people, like your sponsor, they have a group of people that follow them. And very often those people need your service. So it's a whole nother platform and a whole nother group of people that you didn't think of. So you're marketing for yourself as well. So we realized that very quickly, and we came up with Ultimate Business Freedom, because it just does, from soup to nuts. We cover it all. And then she teaches how to elevate and get those 6 figures and 7 figures, and so quickly, not fast. I don't like to use fast, like people think I'm going to go in 6 weeks, I'm going to be a millionaire. No, it's faster than if you're muddling through on your own, definitely. And then the sponsored travel part just fit in so well. So it's called Ultimate Business Freedom. And we have, there's a main program in that, which is a group program. And then we offer one-on-one. And then, of course, we have a smaller program that's called Leave Your Desk Behind, but it's for newer people that are getting into that kind of world and want to move quickly into making money they need to travel. Because, of course, travel is what we all want to do. So it's a beautiful combination, and I'm super excited about that. So, and we do workshops once a month, free workshops once a month, that are really detailed and help people to understand and get started within like 7 days. You can literally take what we're teaching you and get right into it. So,
and does it matter what kind of industry you're in for this program in particular?
You have to be a digital entrepreneur, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And love travel, obviously, and want to work. What our goal is to help you work from anywhere. Because a lot of misconception is, I have a laptop, I can go work from a cafe and I'm good. I can make millions of dollars. No, it doesn't work that way. Everybody would be doing it. It's not. It's easier than going to a corporate job, but you have to have strategies, and there has to be a back end, and you have to understand that and be organized. And so we teach all of that, how to really run a business successfully and work anywhere you want. So, yeah.
And you talk about this in your Facebook group, right? So if people join the Facebook group, they'll know all about this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And you'll get the invite. We're having another one in October, another free workshop in October. And we're doing a cool challenge, actually, a 5-day challenge, just 30 minutes a day. And that's actually going to set you up as well. So we're doing that in the group, and then we're going to have the workshop to get a deeper dive. But it's going to be fun. We're giving away gifts, and it's fun. It's a fun group.
Oh, I do love a good challenge. So yes, definitely check that out if you're interested. Now, I know you've been to so many countries and done so many different types of sponsored travel, as we mentioned. Do you have any favorite people or businesses or brands you've worked with over the years that really stand out, that sort of went out of their way to welcome you, or that you just had a really good time with?
Yeah, oh wow. So I do my due diligence before I'll connect with a company. So I think in all my 13 years that I've been doing this, there's only been one probably that I wasn't aligned with. So all of them are just amazing, really, just really great people. I'm going to go back to Tuscany. Fun in Tuscany is a company that runs tours, and the owner, Isam, is the most amazing human being that I've ever met in my life. I mean, he is just encompasses everything about leading with love, which I love, which is part of my core value system, and just generosity and kindness. But his fun in Tuscany, you leave having fun in Tuscany. Like he does Vespa rides and tuk-tuk rides and horseback riding rides, but he does intertwines that into these experiences with companies that are aligned with him. So everybody you meet is this loving, generous, kind, fun. You'll break out in a song, you'll start dancing like, his drivers bring karaoke machines in the cars. It is just an amazing experience. So we're so aligned. And when you ask that question, of course, his face pops up to me, and I love him and his family. And yeah, they're fantastic. Another one, like I said, was 1,000 Shades of Green in South Africa. That was amazing. That was such an amazing experience. And they were so kind and generous and giving. And they so much wanted to teach people about these beautiful animals and, how important it is to save our, the footprint that we put, like the minimize our footprint that we leave in this world for these beautiful animals. I swam with whale sharks that was incredible too, because how protective they were. Like you could still swim in the wild with them, but they were very protective about how close you got. That was in the Philippines. That I love that when people are really cognizant of their surroundings and they want you to have a good time, but they also want to protect the animals. I love that as well. The hot air balloon, that was that company in Tuscany. They're no longer there. They're in Myanmar now, but the company was owned by Virgin Airlines. And I was surprised because bigger companies often you're just a number to sometimes. And so when they reached out to me for the experience in Tuscany. And I started to do my due diligence and I realized they were owned. I was like, So I asked for a Zoom call with the owner, and you would have never known. They didn't start with that. They didn't tell me they were owned by Virgin. It was just called Ballooning in Tuscany. And so I thought, okay, sure. I thought they were a smaller company. Unfortunately, they're not there anymore after COVID. They are now in Myanmar. So I work with another company it is singly owned, and they're amazing, just as amazing. So, but yeah, those are a few of the amazing that left a mark on my heart. So
those are amazing. I particularly love the animal ones because I'm a huge animal fan. And that brings me on to my next question, actually. It's a bit random, but listeners of my podcast know that I'm a huge donkey fan, especially Colin the donkey in the Basque Country. And I've just adopted a donkey called Jimmy in England who I need to visit.
Congratulations.
And I know you love donkeys too. You recently had 3 donkey neighbors nearby your Airbnb you were staying in, who looks so cute. Yeah. And I love the story you have about one particular donkey who helped you out of a tricky situation. So can you tell me that story?
I will. So the very first time I went to Tuscany, my Airbnb was in the side of a mountain. It was beautiful property. And I walked, walking is very cathartic for me. So I'll walk miles and miles. And I was walking and in my head, and I'm just walking in literally like a movie. It was olive tree tiers, there was olive orchards everywhere. And I was walking through them on this gravel road and looked up and I realized that I was, oh my gosh, where am I? I don't know how far I had walked. It was pretty bad. And I realized that the road wasn't a road. It was just like a path now. And it was gravel and there were orchards everywhere. And my phone had no signal because this was on a mountain. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to turn around because I don't know. When you're walking and you're kind of in your head, you don't know if you turned or not. So I'm just going to keep walking. I look over and there's a donkey standing there, olives between the olive trees. And he's just like looking at me. And I'm like, oh, because I love donkeys. I love them. I don't know what it is, but I will find a donkey wherever I am. So I'm calling to him. Of course, I forget that I might be lost. And I'm like, oh, donkey. I'm so excited. So he just meanders. You know how donkeys are. Like, okay. He just meanders over. And, he did let me pet him. And I'm like talking. I'm like, I'm lost, but I'm going to pet you for a while. So he starts to walk along they did have like a little wire fence. And so he starts to walk along. And I'm like, oh, so I'm taking a couple of steps. And he does look back, like, you going to come? Like, he's probably, who knows? But yeah, I like to believe that he's like, oh, this one's lost. Let me help her. So I'm kind of following him because why not? I'm walking and he actually heads down, like it curves down a little bit. And there was a wider road like there. Like you could see that those little trucks probably go in and out. And I was like, oh my gosh, he helped me out. So I did follow it and I found this it had like this little town with a little square. I walked into a pastry shop, had a coffee, and I mimed my way because I knew no Italian at that point. I mimed my way through. I'm lost. My phone don't work or whatever. And so I brought up the owner of the Airbnb, Franco. I brought up his phone number and I pointed. She called him, and she gave me the phone, and he goes, "You are so lost." He said, how did you end up there? He said, I don't know. But yeah, my donkey friend helped me. So subsequently, I would go back and I would bring him apples and carrots. They love carrots. And we made friends because I swear he would look for me. Like he'd come running over as soon as he saw me. So that was so much fun. But that's I got saved by a donkey.
Oh, that's amazing. It's like a little donkey guardian angel.
Exactly.
I love that story.
Exactly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I just had to get the donkey thing in because I know you're a big
No, that's fine. I love talking about it. It's so cute.
Okay, so I have two last quick questions. So first of all, and I'll put these in the show notes, where can people find and follow you online? And is there anything else you want to mention or any last message you'd like to get across before we go?
The best place is Facebook. My personal page or my group is really the best way to get me. Any questions whatsoever. I am one of these people that I love. You'll get a voice message from me in Messenger always. I love connecting. I love connecting with people. We live in this massive world with 8 billion people now, I believe. We crossed over the 8 billion mark. And the more people I can connect with personally, just it really fills my life. And I just hope in some way, that I can make a difference with them. So that's the best way to get in touch with me is through Facebook. And then from there, phone number and wherever, email. I'm revamping my website, so I'm not giving that out anymore. So that's going to take a little time. But yeah, Facebook. And in terms of a message, my big message is lead with love in every situation and get out and see the world. We live in such an incredible world. Don't let fear of religion or culture or color or values or beliefs, don't let that scare you. Don't let that stop you from seeing this amazing world because we're all different. We don't think we're different because we're us, but we're all different. We're different to other people too, but talk to somebody, sit next to somebody and talk to them that you might not have ever talked to, just take the chance and definitely go somewhere new, somewhere you've never been, get lost somewhere. Maybe you'll find a donkey to save you. But yeah, definitely don't be afraid to go out there and see the world and lead with love. When you lead with love, amazing things come back to you. Definitely.
Oh, I love that. Lead with love. And yeah, don't be afraid to go traveling and try new things and meet new people and make connections. Absolutely agree with all of that. So that's great. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate and review, and spread the word, because it's my mission to help as many people as possible to flip the script on their lives and transform through travel. And remember, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.